Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, folks of Good Morning Hospitality. Tim Rosolio, welcome back to the show. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. I love that intro. You got Mike Golden, you got Brandy, you got a Jamie Lane throw in there. I'm like, this is perfect going into event season. I'm
100%.
excited.
100%. Well, thank you for the compliments. And of course, we love having you on. We love getting to chat. For the listeners, we have to kind of let them know, though, this is our second time trying to get this episode out because I may have had some technical issues when we recorded at our live session that you guys hosted. You guys did a Vrbo live here in Colorado, and you and I got to talk and do like a interview on the street type thing. And well, unfortunately, the SD card malfunctioned and lost half of my files on the whole thing, and yours was one of them. So I'm sorry to make you see me twice in a very short period of time.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I always like hanging out. I mean, I think to be clear, when we did the actual live interview, there was a beautiful Colorado tree, a river flowing behind us, and the weather was delightful. But now I'm just in Austin, Texas, and it's hot.
Yeah, I'm back in Denver. I did get to see you actually last week after the Unique Stays Summit hosted by Ben Wolf and Zach Boozy Cruz. We got to stop by and see you in Austin. That was a nice treat. Austin's treating you well. Looks great. Fun city.
Always good. Always good to hang. That's right. I think the weather's starting to get into a little bit better place. Football season's back. Texas beat Michigan last week. I was there. I was very excited. And beyond that, I'm just excited about some of the trajectory of our business, which is great.
For sure. And let's jump into that. So for the listeners, if we sound a little scripted, we're obviously doing this again. We had a whole conversation in Colorado, but we wanted to recap and bring the highlights from the Colorado live session that you guys put together to the listeners. Obviously, we have a lot of good Colorado listeners as well. So, Tim, the highlight is Senate Bill 33, right? So it got shut down. Senate Bill 33 was basically to impose a significant increase in taxes to the residential kind of traditional vacation rental home owners and managers alike. And so obviously there was a lot of efforts from a lot of parties. There's, you got Rent Responsibly, you have Vrbo, you had Clara, you had every organization coming in to really turn down this bill. And thankfully it did. Let's talk about the impacts though that could have happened. I would love to know your guys' thought, or maybe the conversations happening inside Vrbo that when this bill was presented, you guys were talking about discussing.
Yeah, I think many people have said that regulation is kind of the existential threat to our industry. If there is overbearing regulation, that can make the notion of owning a second home and trying to rent it out as a short-term rental, like it can make all of those economics turn upside down. And that's what the nature of the proposed bill would have done. And I think we believe in balanced regulation. And sometimes a balanced regulation means is you might give a little bit here and there to help on some of the concerns of a local jurisdiction, whether that's affordable housing or parties and nuisance. Like you work with them to try to solve those problems while still preserving an industry that all the studies show actually is very accretive in terms of tax dollars and community impact. So I think we just want to land somewhere in the middle. The role that we typically play is we really help the local people activate, because regulators, they don't like the optics of Fortune 500 companies based in Seattle is Expedia, most of Vrbo's in Austin. They don't want to hear from us and what we think. They're going to say you're just looking after your profits. So it's really about engaging the local property managers to come together with one voice and to get organized. And we like to help do that.
Yeah, you did it very well. So obviously I got to talk to Toby Babich and a couple others from the session about, what happened with this activation of Clara and just the initiatives that were put in. And I love what you said at this session, talking about the affordable housing point, right? Like you guys, everyone tries to use affordable housing as the cause of why it's okay to ban short-term rentals or do, things like Senate Bill 33. And I love to quote you, just because a house is available doesn't mean it's affordable. So doing something like this, making these secondary homes, these whether they're managed or owner operated, making them available because of these taxes, because it's unaffordable, and you think about how much people are going to be paying in their city and overall property tax, you wouldn't be sustained, you wouldn't make any profit, and so um, just that opens up the inventory, yeah, but doesn't make it affordable housing. So I would love to get more thoughts from you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's actually like pretty straightforward. I mean, these are 3 to 5 bedroom homes in Breckenridge. You can imagine how much they cost, whether they're a short-term rental or not. You're not going
Yeah,
to make this home available for somebody to buy as a non-short-term rental, and that's flipping somebody who wasn't owning a home and now they are. Like it's a bit counterintuitive, and I think it's some of the place where um, politicians and regulators at the time they are scratching at things to say that I am taking care of a problem and I am supporting this
mhm.
group of people, when in fact I think if you're rational about it, I'm not so sure I would appropriately connect those two things.
Yeah, 100%. And to go back to an earlier comment you made, I want to know, how do you guys decide when to get involved with local activations like Clara or Rent Responsibly or whatever organization it might be when a certain bill or regulation is kind of brought up? Do you guys have a certain criteria that kind of you guys go through to make sure that when you're involved, it's actually something that's impactful to the locals that you're supporting?
Yeah, I think I mean, what we do is we have an extensive team of government affairs people that are sort of always on the lookout for what's
Mhm.
happening. Um, and I think generally what we do is we're going to focus most on areas um, that are part of the traditional vacation rental industry, which is largely ski and beach.
Yeah.
The impact of the New York law, wasn't an enormous impact to our business because what we do isn't necessarily urban apartments and condominiums. So
Mm.
that's where we're going to spend less time, and it's a situation where maybe it even is more impactful to some of our large competitors more so than it is to us. So we're going to focus on when this type of heavy-handed regulation comes to those key ski and beach markets where we really try to focus on a lot of professional supply and try to deliver family and group travel.
Yeah, no, I love it. And one of the other topics that we discussed before we lost all the files was, kind of the tech change that you guys have had through Vrbo. Obviously, this, tech debts, that was such a big article and topic throughout the industry. What's new with the platform? How are you guys now positioned now that you've updated your guys' technology and overall systems for the operators?
Yeah, we're really on the other side of a lot of it, especially with respect to the traveler side of the business. So, um, just for a little bit of a recap,
Yeah.
um, Expedia Group bought Vrbo,
Mhm.
and they bought it another time. They bought Hotels.com, and all three of those companies within Expedia Group, Expedia.com,
Mhm.
Vrbo.com, Hotels.com, all had their own separate traveler facing tech stack. So anytime we wanted to build anything, you needed to do it 3 times, even though in many cases, these were tools and functionality that was going to be good for all travelers. Great example would be like flexible date search. Like if there's a traveler that knows they want to go to a certain destination in August, but they aren't even sure what dates. They just know they want to go for 3 days.
Mhm.
That's functionality that clearly an OTA would want to have to provide to a traveler. And in the
Yeah.
old days, we would have needed to build that 3 times. But what we started to do is we started to really try to converge all of this technology um, in a way so that we could build it once. And like, listen, it was a painful process. You're trying to smash
Yeah.
together all of this tech. You're spending a lot of time doing that rather than necessarily building functionality specifically that can be used by travelers and partners. When you'd make that sort of migration, there's typically going to be a drop in conversion. When there's a drop in conversion, it is wise for us to not spend as much money on marketing.
Yeah.
So, that kind of led us to a place where we were probably in Q1 or so, where our results were a little bit lower than they have over the prior few years. However, what we've really seen since then is we're starting to roll out those product winners faster than we ever have before. I believe it was in Q4, we had something like 100 A/B tests on the traveler-facing website that we actually started to be able to push through to the product in the first half of this year. And that's more tests than we ran in the entire prior year. So what you've seen is the conversion's gone up. And as the conversion's gone up, our marketing investments have gone back up. And as those marketing investments have gone back up, we've seen a lot more production. And I think most of our property managers and partners have seen that. They've seen a improvement in the share that they're seeing from our platform. And it's been a transparent story of we're going to take 2 steps back to take 3 or 4 steps forward. The plan's working.
Yeah. Well, it's a necessary evil, right? Like you said, why do something 3 times when you can just like take a couple months, take a couple quarters and really fix it and make it streamlined for you guys? Because I'm sure your teams within the respective, OTAs, whether it's Expedia.com or hotels.com and Vrbo, being like, there's probably a lot of work, right? It's less efficient when you have to do it 3 times over and over. So to streamline it, to move forward and then add the dollars back, it's a necessary evil. I think just, a lot of the times, as an operator myself, I'm saying this not to offend operators, but as an operator myself, sometimes we just need we just want a solution fast, but you just need to be okay with being patient and understanding that, it's a process.
I also understand that property managers have underlying owners that they need to drive value to. Yeah. And I can understand a property manager's frustration if our volumes are not what they were in the prior year, because they hear it from their owners. I totally get it. But the good news is we're on the other side of a lot of that. The winners are rolling out. I think if you go to the website, you'll start to notice an experience that actually is starting to be more and more catered and dialed into what families and groups want. And like Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. We're not gonna snap our fingers and be, a tremendous amount of share and an enormous step change from where we were before. But I think you're seeing like every month and every week, it's getting better and better and better. So I'm really excited.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I promised I would keep this short and sweet to keep you on to the next meeting. So appreciate you taking the time today, Tim. For the listeners, make sure you reach out to Tim, go to the Vrbo site, look at the improvements and let us know. How is it looking for you? I would love to know. Tim, till next time, we'll see you very soon.
Always good to see you, man. Take it easy.
You too.